I had a very interesting experience today. An argument over cutting boards that had been going on for a long time. And what happened was that I was basically forced to use plastic cutting boards, which I was afraid would shed plastic materials into the food, and therefore, after that, they would get into other parts of my body, bloodstream, etc. So, the urgent need to use those plastic boards from the person who insisted that I use them, a man, was that whatever science said about plastic parts shedding was false. And therefore, I needed to obey the superior scientific wisdom that he exhibited and submit to that. My solution was to use plates instead of cutting boards. But he was not happy with that solution because that damaged his expensive knives. And I guess expensive means like $100 per knife. So I happened to put a higher price on my health than that. And this became a huge fight where he accused me of wanting him to throw out all of the cutting boards in his house so that he could have a loving relationship with me, which by that time I didn't want at all. And what I find very strange, and this is how I started my first video on the sense of entitlement. What I find very strange is that this person felt entitled to a loving relationship while making scenes and screaming at me and putting me down for not wanting to use cutting boards. When I was thinking of how to respond to this person, the only responses that were coming to my mind were sarcastic responses. I'm totally at fault here for not being able to worship you and love you and submit to your superior will and plastic cutting boards. And I don't know, how does one deal with people who are out of touch with reality? It seems that there should be some consensus on what reality is, right? And with this particular person, I started writing everything down as much as I could. And pretty soon conversations had to be done in writing, because everything that I said would always get twisted around. And there would always be accusations that I didn't love him, which I said flat out, I don't love you. Just how about, getting off of that expectation? But I still wonder, how do people become so delusional as to think they're entitled to love? Especially when their behavior does not warrant it. Who decides what is deserved and not deserved? And this is when I realized that to a great extent, it is cultural expectations that decide questions like this. Once again, I think in a Muslim society, probably the question would have been settled. Whatever the man said is correct. In a Western society, a woman has the freedom to leave. So therefore, the man is free to hold on to his cutting boards, but he's not free to hold on to the woman. I mean, I would think that should be bloody obvious, but it did not seem obvious to the man in question. And in the end, this is where social power lies, in the ability to say no, in the ability to say no to your rights to your body being infringed upon. It's abortion is obviously the extreme example, but in this case, it was even something as stupid as detail like these cutting boards. And if this man wanted to really be worthy of respect like he wanted to be, he should have just let that matter drop. This is the self-delusion that I don't understand, this necessity to just continue arguing to the end, that because of his superior scientific knowledge, I was supposed to succumb to the tyranny of the cutting boards and ingest plastic particles because he did not want to sacrifice the $100 knife. But it should have been obvious that what he was sacrificing was his claim to be loved and admired and worshipped like he wanted. That should be so obvious. And I wonder, why is it that some men don't even understand that? I think what happens is that some men become so angry is that they're driven to murder because they think they've been wronged because a woman has left them. And then they go and kill her. And sometimes their children. And then kill themselves because of stupid, misplaced pride and self-delusion. I think today we are hearing more about this because today women can vote. And before women could vote, they were voiceless, a lot more voiceless than they are today. My conclusion is that biology is destiny. We can tinker at the edges with politics, but biology is still destiny. And now that women have acquired more rights, what has happened is that they have decided to get their freedom back, but at the price of not having children, because children are what binds them to a particular man. Women can survive without a man if they don't have to bring up his children. So it's society now that pays the price for women's freedom. This is the reason why this is such an unpopular and even taboo subject, because there's no easy solution. Societies need more children, especially Western societies need more children if they are to survive as a society without importing immigrants. And the choice is stark. Either we turn back the clock, put the toothpaste back in the tube, meaning the toothpaste of women's rights, and take away women's rights to hold down jobs, take away women's rights to contraception and abortion, and go back to where they're forced to depend on a man and bring up his children. This is the only way to resolve the birth crisis. That is the extremely unpalatable truth, because obviously women would never agree to that. So I think ultimately it will be society's paying the price because of the lower birth rates, which means a lot of things like benefits that were predicated on one generation paying for another, like Social Security, like retirement programs in Western countries like France, which were predicated. I mean, they're like literally pyramid schemes, where one generation would pay for the next one. It doesn't work when the generations keep on getting smaller and smaller, and the groups of the elderly keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. What I find most worrying of all is that we are not even allowed to say the truth. Mads Larsen, the Danish scientist and anthropologist who dared say the truth, this unpalatable truth, was banned, cancelled. The truth is that there are two models of societies. One is the Western society, where we do keep up the birth rate with immigration, but that has a lot of consequences, with the native populations revolting and voting either for the National Rally in France or for the AfD in Germany. And that is what we're faced with in the Western world. And then the other model is the model in Japan and South Korea, where those wealthy and prosperous societies are dying out, and they refuse to import more immigrants and have other problems. I guess time will tell which one is the superior model. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments.